It's budget season all over the world, and on Monday, Joe Biden unveiled his, a $7.3 trillion spending wish list. Now, normally a budget is a policy document, but this is election year in the US, so Joe Biden's budget is not just about policy. It's also a campaign pitch, a sneak peek into what a second Biden term could look like. We'll bring you the top 3 highlights. Number 1, more tax on the rich. Biden wants to raise corporate tax from 21 to 28%. He's also targeting the top 0.1%. That's Americans worth over $100 million. Biden wants them to pay 25% in taxes. Now, this has been a big liberal demand, to increase taxes on America's ultra-rich. And Joe Biden is now promising to do that. Highlight number 2, more spending on Social Security, again a liberal demand. Biden wants subsidies on childcare and college. He also wants to spend $258 billion on building houses. Another proposal is paid family leave. It could cover 12 weeks for a variety of reasons, like to look after family members or to recover from illness. And finally, highlight number 3, controlling defense spending. Joe Biden plans to increase military spending by just 1%. He wants to buy fewer F-35 jets and submarines. Now, this budget is all about 2 things. 1 is catering to his Democratic voter base, and 2, differentiating himself from Donald Trump.
But guess what? But I'm a capitalist, man. Make all the money you want. Just begin to pay your fair share of taxes. The last administration enacted a $2 trillion tax cut. $2 trillion tax cut that benefits the very wealthy in the top 1%. The biggest corporations, and exploded the federal deficit. Last administration added more to the national debt than any presidential term in American history.
When will this budget be passed? Well, that's the thing. Chances are it won't be passed. You see, the US House is controlled by the Republicans. They oppose many of Biden's proposals, so do not expect this budget to be passed. Even last year it wasn't. Instead, the US government is functioning on interim funding, sort of like a stopgap measure. But I must say one thing here. Biden's budget is very myopic in the current context. It focuses more on the election. Why else would you curb defense spending now, in the middle of 2 wars, in the middle of a standoff with China? Because geopolitics can wait, elections cannot. That's why he's doing what he's doing, at least proposing it. The same applies to Biden's foreign policy. His support for Israel is changing slightly. Reports say Biden has issued a warning to Benjamin Netanyahu: if you invade Rafah, military aid will stop. And that is a major warning. The US gives some $3 billion to Israel every year. If that aid stops, it could mean trouble. But why has Biden issued this warning now? Because his support for Israel is hurting him. Muslim Americans are threatening to abandon him in the next election. They want him to stop the war in Gaza. Just one problem, though. Biden wants to appease both sides. There are 3.5 million Muslims in the United States. And how many Jews? Around 8 million. So Joe Biden does not want to abandon either camp. The result is a confused policy. On the one hand, Biden is blocking UN Security Council resolutions against Israel. On the other, he's pushing for a ceasefire himself. Do you see the confusion here? Biden wants to appease both sides, Muslims and Jews, and in the process, he's getting nothing done. It tells you how high the stakes are. Joe Biden faces a tough path to re-election. Just look at the poll numbers. Trump has a 1.4% lead over Biden. Most polls put the former president ahead now. So Biden is pulling out all the stops. His State of the Union address was a campaign speech. His new budget is a campaign promise. And his policy on Israel is neither here nor there.